Hello, welcome back to Selena's table and our little Aussie homestead. We are going to do our weekly lunch restock this morning, and I thought I'd bring you along and show you what we're going to have this week. So this morning earlier I did put a loaf of my bread dough. I link this just about every video because we do use this bread all the time. But if you would like to see how I make my white sandwich bread, I can link that again for you here. This is just the same bread recipe I use for almost all our bread products, other than our flatbreads or our pizza. Now I will do a video on pizza soon, but this is just white sandwich bread. I will make it into a loaf, I'll make it into buns, I'll make it into like garlic breads. Today I'm going to make a Subway style sandwich, so I'm going to cut this. Okay, as always it's a little bit sticky, so I'm going to just make sure I've got enough flour here. This is just plain flour. Okay, I'm going to cut this into 8 today because we have got a pasta salad, some baked chicken, and I've also got a couple of desserts that I'm going to do to go along with our lunches. So I want 8. I'm thinking not the foot long style Subway, I'm thinking the shorter 6-inch roughly one. So what I want to do is just roll them into logs, like that, and stretch and roll as I go. These never turn out particularly neat for me, and then I'm actually going to just flatten it down like that. So this dough will get risen again, and I will just pat it down a little bit so that they're like that. I want to get 8 rolls, and on these rolls, on these Subway style sandwiches, I've already gone out into the garden this morning and picked some lettuce and some cucumber, some carrots, some other bits and pieces that I needed for our pasta salad. I didn't bring you with me out into the garden this morning because we have gotten some rain. It is still raining, so I went out there and I didn't want to get everything wet, so I've just gone out and already done that. So these will have salad, salami and bacon on them, and I will also make a Thousand Island style dressing to go on top. Okay, so behind me, no, you can't see it. There it is. There. That is a pot full of water that I will turn on as soon as I have finished these bread rolls, and that's for the pasta, for our pasta salad. Today it's pesto pasta salad, but I'm using onion top pesto because I haven't got enough basil in my garden to make any basil pesto at the moment, and I had used all of the basil pesto that I'd already made. This onion top pesto is made in the same way as basil pesto. It's just using the tops of my onions when they were nice and young. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to set these aside over on my stove, and I'll pop a cloth on them, and then we will turn on our pot of water and move on. I forgot to mention I want to put Italian herbs on these ones, so I've just wet my hands And I'm just putting a little bit of water on the top of each one of my rolls. And then I will sprinkle it with an Italian herb blend. And I'm just going to give that another press down to get the herbs in, and also just to flatten again my rolls. Just a gentle press. There you go. Now I will rest them. Okay, one of the sweets that we're going to make this week is a loaded Oreo brownie. So I want to use one of my packet mixes, but I've run out. So I actually need to remake all of my packet mixes. And if you've been watching for a little while, you would have seen where I made these, but also how I've been using them over the last couple of weeks. And it's really super simple. You just remake them all when you run out. So I'm not going to remake them in today's video, but I will just remake one batch in a bowl, which is an alternative if you don't want to be making a big batch of these baking mixes, but you want that real quick and easy, just mix with a spoon type brownie. So I'm just going to make it straight into my bowl. Later on this afternoon, I'll remake all of my baking mixes that I've used up. So, and I'm going to follow the exact same instructions when it comes to actually putting it together. So in my bowl, I don't have anything yet. I do have my oven on. It is preset at 160 degrees. I have already lined a baking tray with some baking paper, and I have got my wet ingredients out. Is put my wet ingredients into my bowl. So I've got 2 eggs. I need half a cup of water. Half a cup of neutral flavored oil, so don't use olive oil if you can avoid it. You can use melted butter. This is just some sunflower oil. Coconut oil is lovely as well. And some vanilla. We want a tablespoon, so I'm just going to add 2 cupfuls. And that's the wet ingredients that I would then normally just add my brownie mix to it. But today, because I haven't got it ready, I'm just going to add all of my dry ingredients on top. And then we want 1 cup of chocolate chips, and I'm going to do a mixture of white and dark. Straight into your baking pan. So to make these our loaded brownies with Oreos, I have a packet of Oreos, and I'm just going to cut them all in half and put them into the brownie before we bake it. Just like that. And then I just pop them into the top. That's now ready to go into the oven at 160 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes. When it comes out of the oven, I'm going to add just a couple more little special treats to the top. It really is a delicious but loaded brownie. Okay, so into the oven with this, and I will check the water when I'm over there. Okay, my water's nearly boiling, so I'm gonna keep an eye on that because I wanna get this pasta cooked and then drained and cooled down as quickly as I can today so that I can get that dish finished. My next recipe is going to be an absolute family favorite around here. Everyone in our family loves this one. It's requested all the time. I try not to make it too often because it's very sweet, but you know, why not? Let's do it anyway today. So today I'm actually going to do a double batch. So I've got a large tin. It's equal, I think these are called a lamington tin. It's equal to 2 slice tins that I did my brownie in. So 2 like that. So I've got one of those lined with paper, and the slice, I should tell you, is lemon slice. Now, if you're Australian, you probably grew up with this. I'm not sure about other countries. So I'm going to double my recipe. So everything I do today is a double version. If you want to cut that in half for a single version, you can. Sometimes I will make this, cut it in half and freeze half of it because it does freeze really well as well. You could freeze it and keep half for Christmas. That's a hot tip right there. My family is going to get through this way too quick. So yeah, we will probably not end up having half of it frozen. So what I'm going to start with, you will need a food processor or a rolling pin and a Ziploc bag that you can beat some biscuits with. So today I'm going to use arrowroot biscuits and Scotch finger biscuits. Any sweet plain biscuit is what you want to be using. I do have my scales there as well. As you've seen before, if you've been here for a while, this is actually a thermocooker, similar to a Thermomix but cheaper. And I've just got the blade in there today because I'm just going to be crushing my biscuits. So you want, for this double version, 2 packets. These do weigh the same amount, even though my Scotch fingers are smaller in quantity. They're thicker. Okay, so we want 2 packets of biscuits. I am going to process that until they are smooth, more like a breadcrumb consistency. Just like that, okay? And we're going to pour that into a large bowl. To this, we want to add 1.5 cups of coconut. Just the desiccated coconut. So, yep, 1.5. Some zest of a lemon. Don't have any lemons on my tree right now, but I do have some of our powdered lemon zest that we made using our dehydrator, and I've just blitzed it. This is not the one with pepper in it, it's just lemon powder, so I'm going to add a teaspoon of my lemon powder, ground up zest essentially, and give that a gentle mix. 250 grams of butter. And 1 whole tin of sweetened condensed milk. Okay, any brand, doesn't matter. You want to melt, these together. Okay, so over onto the stove. And I've just noticed my water's boiling, so I'm going to tip that whole packet of pasta, that's a 500-gram packet of pasta, into my boiling salted water. That's for the pasta salad for later. We want to bring our condensed milk butter mixture to not to a boil, but we want all that butter melted and we want it mixed together. I'm going to use my spatula that I had in the biscuit crumbs. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit of biscuit crumbs in that because it's all getting mixed together in just a minute. That's already starting to melt. You do want to mix it because we don't want that condensed milk to actually burn. And I'm just going to pop pasta in here. There we go. And let that do its thing. And keep an eye on my butter mixture over here. Okay, that's mixed together, melted completely. I'm going to add our biscuit and our butter mixture together to create the base of this slice. Okay, then just give it a good mix. Okay, with clean hands, you want to press this into your tin. I'm just going to quickly wash my hands. Okay, my timer did just go off for the brownie, so I will double check on that as soon as I have pressed this down. You don't need a huge piece. Okay, that's going to go into the freezer. You can pop it in the fridge, but I want to get this done a little bit quicker today, so I am popping it in the freezer until it's nice and firm to the touch. I've just tested one of the pastas. That's ready. So the brownie wasn't quite done. It needs about 5 more minutes. I did only have it in there for 20, so this will bring it up to 25. In that 5 minutes, I'm going to drain my pasta and just give it a rinse under cold water so that we can have pasta salad. So I'll just sit this back into that pot and that can drain while, well, drain and cool while we finish off our brownie. Brownie's done. I'm going to pop my bread rolls in now. Now while this is hot, we want to do the next step. So, okay, straight out of the oven, I have some more white chocolate here. I'm going to sprinkle over the top. These will melt into the brownie. You could also press them in a little if you wanted. Try and move them. As you can see, they're already marking because they're melting. Okay, and then on top of that, I've got some caramel sauce. Now, of course, you don't have to do any of these things. This brownie is delicious without any toppings. This is just one of the ways we like to jazz it up a bit. Make it a little bit different, make it a little bit special. Goes great for a dessert or at Christmas. There you go. Now we want that to cool completely. I'm just going to sit it behind me here on the stove. The stove's not on, the oven is on. Just until it's cool enough. Oh, that's hot there. just until it's cool enough for me to actually put it in the fridge. Okay, so that one's finished. The lemon slice the base isn't quite set, but our pasta is done. I've got our bread in the oven. I want to get the rest of our pasta salad components done. For the pesto pasta salad, I'm using some of the pesto I've made. This is the onion top pesto, and it's actually got a little bit of sun-dried tomato in it too. So if you're not using a sun-dried tomato pesto or a homemade one with sun-dried tomatoes, I would add just a few sun-dried tomatoes to the dish. I'm not going to add them today because I've got it in my pesto, but just keep that in mind. A little bit of sun-dried tomato goes really well in this salad as well. So in my bowl, which I'll sit here, I have about a cup of pesto. Now I froze these into ice cream or cookie scoop pucks and put them in the freezer, and that was 2 of those. Okay, I've got 1 onion that I'm going to add. And I'm just going to slice that. To squeeze the onion as I pop it in there, because it separates, but it also will release some of those onion juices, because we are actually going to make the dressing in the bowl. I want to add some mayonnaise. Probably 3 heaped spoons of mayonnaise. About 2 tablespoons of cream, some salt, and then I want to give this a mix, because this is going to form the dressing for the pasta. And this is where I can see, do I need more cream? And yes, I do. So I'm going to add a little bit more cream, another 2 tablespoons. These salads, when they're made with pasta, they do dry out a little bit in the fridge when they sit in there for a few days. So I do like to make my dressing a little bit wetter than if I was going to just serve it straight away. Okay, that looks good. To that, I want to add 1 red baby teeny tiny capsicum. So just add a little bit of red capsicum. Nice and fine. You can also add a chili if you would like a chili in here. So there we go, I'm going to pop that there. And I did grab, while I was out in the garden, a handful of fresh basil. So I'm going to just roughly chop that as well and add that. Add your pasta. And there we have it, ready to be portioned up. So I'm going to pop that into some little containers in a moment, ready for the fridge. And these are the same little containers that I use every week until they break. They just go in the dishwasher, portioned up, lid on. Our bread rolls are nearly done. They're in the oven. I'm keeping a close eye on them. The salads are now in the fridge. I checked the lemon slice base. It's not quite ready. So what I'm going to do now is get some bacon and pop it in the oven. I find that cooking bacon in the oven is really handy. So I'm going to do that because that's going to go on our subs. I'm also going to put salami on them. Salami is already out. And then we're going to move on to the dressing for our subs and our baked chicken drumsticks. So to cook my bacon, I have it pre-cut here into, you know, that same sort of size rasher, and I'm just layering it on a tray. They will shrink as they cook, but I won't have to dirty a frying pan to cook them, and I don't have to have my house smell like smoke. So I've just popped it on the tray, and I'll pop that straight in the oven. Okay, so the dressing I want to put on our bacon and salami subs is like a Thousand Island style dressing. Okay, so in a bowl, we want to put some mayonnaise. Now I just guessed this quantity wise, but that's 3 spoons. Okay, we want some tomato sauce or ketchup depending on where you live. A good couple of spoons of that. Some mustard. A little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Just a little over there. About a teaspoon. We want some smoky paprika, half a teaspoon. Some onion powder, half a teaspoon. Salt, a teaspoon. Pepper, about 1/4 of a teaspoon. And then we want a little bit of vinegar. I'm just going to put some in the lid. About 1/2 a lid of vinegar. Give that a whisk. Some people put pickles in their Thousand Island. I don't have any left at the moment, so I'm just going to leave them out. Okay, and then to that you want to add a little bit of cream. This cream was in the freezer, so it may not be ideal, but it should be okay. A couple of tablespoons of cream. Now you can also add some chili powder, chili flakes to this. So what I'm going to add is what I call sriracha sprinkles. So when I make sriracha, it's got a heap of chilies and vinegar and sugar and things like that in it, and it's a fermented sauce. You then strain it out really well, and you're left with this pulp. And instead of throwing it out, I dehydrate it, like most things, and then I just crumble it into a powder. And it's potent. Yeah, chili powder, but sriracha. So I'm going to add a little bit. Now these are still in its flaked form, so I'm going to try and just crush a bit. You get some from the bottom maybe. Going to add about 1/2 teaspoon. I'm just going to sort of try and break them up just a little bit and mix that in. Now that's optional, you don't have to add them if you don't want to. But that is our dressing. So that's ready for when we finish off our sandwiches. I've just checked on the bread rolls and the bacon. It's almost done. So the oven will be freed up in a minute, and that's when I want to put in my chicken drumsticks. So, and I've also been waiting for them to thaw. They were frozen. They're nice and soft now. I have 2, 4, 7 drumsticks here, and I'm going to just bake them. So I'll show you what I'm going to do for that. Okay, I've got just a glass baking tray here. I'm just giving it a spray with oil. Chicken drumsticks. I want a little bit of flour. I'm going to just spray these with olive oil and just a little bit of flour over the top. And some all-purpose seasoning. Pretty generous on the seasoning. Now I just want to roll. Now there's salt and pepper already in my seasoning, so I don't need to add any of that. And I want to give it a little drizzle with oil already, but there wasn't much left in that spray bottle, so. Now that is ready for the oven. As soon as our bread comes out and our bacon, I'm going to pop our chicken in the oven. Our bread is ready, so I'm just pulling that out of the oven. Bacon's not quite done, but I'm going to put my chicken in, and I will keep checking on that bacon because I don't want it to burn, but I want it to be sort of, you know, midway crispy. So these need to go on a cooling rack, which I have set out already over there, so that they can cool right down. I don't want to be making sandwiches with warm bread. Okay, lemon slice base is nice and firm. So we're ready to make the icing that goes on top of that. In a bowl, I have 100 grams of butter. Remember, I am doubling this recipe. And I want about 3 to 4 cups of sugar. This is a half cup measure. That's 2 cups, and I want to just give that a mix before I add the other 1.5 to 2 cups. Need some lemon juice, so I'm going to add 1/4 cup of lemon juice, and I'm going to add it now because that's going to dissolve a heap of this sugar and make it much easier for me to work with, even though I'm throwing it, as you can see, everywhere. I'm going to add more sugar. So that will be 3 cups all up in there, and I'm going to add some more lemon juice, about another 1/4 cup. So all up in here now, I have 3 cups of icing sugar, 1/2 cup of lemon juice, and 100 grams of butter. Give this a taste. Make sure it's sweet enough. That's plenty sweet enough. If you want it to be a little bit sweeter, add some more icing sugar. You've got another cup up your sleeve. But I've done a 3-cup, 100 grams of butter and half a cup of lemon juice. Okay, I'm just going to clean this up and show you how we ice it. There it is. You hear that? It's set. It's nice and hard. It's ready to be iced. Okay, here we go. Got our icing. Now I will spread this with a little spatula, a little palette knife, I should say, not a spatula. This is a thin icing. You don't want like a really thick layer. It's not a cake. Like that. Okay, and on top of this, you want to sprinkle a little bit more coconut. And you can even sprinkle some more lemon zest if you would like. I'm going to put that back in the freezer because I want it to be nice and easy to cut pretty quickly, but you can just keep this in the fridge. You can store it in a plastic container and see how long it lasts. It doesn't last long here. I haven't decided if I'm going to cut all of it up and put it all in for my grab and go lunches, or if I might try and sneakily hide half of it so that we get a full week out of this slice. But back into the fridge or the freezer until that top is nice and chilled. And I've just pulled the bacon out. It's full of grease, so I'm going to just pop that on a rack so the grease can drip off and let that cool. Check my bread to make sure if we're ready to be assembling sandwiches or not. But we want cold ingredients all going together. I don't want anything to be warm when it's going into our little subs. I'm going to actually try and scoop out the seed of these because I don't want that moisture in the subs. If I was just eating them today, I'd leave them in there, but we're not. So I will do. I'm just trying not to cut my glove, and I'm wearing a glove because I did cut my finger getting the grater out. So along with our lettuce, we're now ready to assemble. So I'll just tidy this up. Okay, so I'm just going to put a bit of butter on one of our rolls. All right, and then some lettuce. I like to put a generous helping of lettuce a little bit of carrot, a little bit of purple carrot on top, some capsicum, some cucumbers, and then a little bit of bacon, salami on the lid, because I want to put this dressing not on the bread. So, like that, okay, and then I'm just going to fold it over on itself, get that in there, and there we have it. Everything has come out of the oven and the freezer. These are ready to be packaged up now. Chicken took 35 minutes. So once they are nice and cold, that's when I'll wrap them. Thank you for spending time with me again in the kitchen today as we got our grab and go lunches for the week ready. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, a subscribe, click the little bell so you get notified when I put out a new video. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next week.